please work. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. Got it. We're good. Let me just double check from elsewhere. Yes, we're live. Okay, Xtina, you need to unmute.
Yeah, that would help. Hello, everybody. Tech issues, but everything's cool. Wish I was in Boston, but we are live here, Boston Poetry Marathon 2021. I'm Christina Strong, our tech host. Well, you know who has been awesome is Bridget. Bridget has been totally awesome. She's the goddess. I don't know if you know that, and if you do know that, then then it's even more than the goddess. But also our organizers, Suzanne Mercury and Christina Liu, have also been awesome. And thank you to our volunteers for the weekend, Gilmore Tammy, I hosted in the last hour. We have Daniel Pritchard, Tom Daly, Joe Elliott, Doug Rothschild, and Chad Parento volunteering, and we're streaming live on our Facebook page and Twitter and all the other social media stuff that I'm going to skip right now. But you could go to the website, bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com, and you could watch it, and you can go there, and we're doing a fundraiser. And you could also go to the website for that, Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate. I'm going to introduce the readers pretty quickly and a quick hello, so we could you can unmute yourselves and say hello, and then we're gonna go from there. I'm sorry, I'm looking at an Excel sheet. If everyone just wants to say hello.
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 Hi there.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, this evening.
Hello. Oh.
Sounds good so far. We have Ethel Radkin, Dick Lurie, Elizabeth Guthrie, Mark Polak, Elizabeth Marie Young, Michael Steffen, sorry about that. Sorry. Need glasses, perhaps, new glasses. Jennifer Martelli, MP Carver, Valerie Loveland, Stephanie Kaler, and Tom Daly. And we've all said our hellos. So our first reader is going to be Ethel Radkin.
Hi.
And
yeah.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm just going to time you for 5 minutes, and you
Okay.
very well know that, and then I'm sort of going to wave and cut you off.
Okay. It's great to be here with everyone. I love the Boston Poetry Marathon, and thank you so much, Bridget and Xtina and all the organizers for doing this. I'm just going to read a few short poems this evening. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody. The first poem is called Precedent. I wanted something in my heart like a drum. Peaches fell from trees. Suddenly, monsoon season. So I told myself a story to soothe myself into a kind of slumber, not like the wrestling recently begun, not like the wager life seems while, my friends. I've meant to call you, all around trees collapsing, arterial roads blocked, then blocked again. The country seems triply damned. The old precedents mean nothing. Another summer. Dogs walked the streets. Trees snuck behind shadows. The world was an alley. In my heart, a tune played. Ice fell and melted. Large drinks were served. These were the salad days, but we didn't yet know it. We were so busy counting our private miseries, our secret wishes. And this is the last poem I'll read. Thanks again. Something like life. There was a window. In it, many leaves moved. Many moons arose. New poems, rose-colored leaves, eventually falling in piles of prayers. Snow fell too, inside the frame of that window, museum of white, while I waited for something to be lifted, something like life, for a path to be cleared, though it was not yet winter. Trees shone, as they do now. I can attest to much celebration. I can attest to endless wind rustling, to that great show of light coming through. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And our next reader is just entering the room now. I'm not quite sure whether they're ready or not, but they're scheduled. Dick Lurie is just entering the room. Let's see if he's here.
I'm sorry,
Here it goes.
it's Dick Lurie. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can everyone hear him? You can do the thumbs up or cool. Excellent.
I am sorry that I'm late.
You're fine, actually. No, you're all cool. And actually, you're the next reader, and you're on. So if you're ready,
You don't want to be called the late Dick Lurie, though.
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
or late for dinner, or any of that sort.
Not
No.
late for dinner. So you, so I'm just about, so am I on now, did you say?
Oh yeah, yes, you are.
Okay,
So if you're ready, yep, you've got about 5 minutes. Yes.
I've just got to find one thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's cool. You're fine.
Maybe we should move on to someone else and come back to Dick and give him a chance to find his what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Do that. Just come back to me next.
Yeah, let's have Dick go last in the hour like we planned, and we'll move on to the next reader.
Okay.
Okay.
Then next after that, we have Elizabeth Guthrie. And I'm pretty sure she's on deck.
Yep.
If you could unmute yourself if you need to. There you go.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for putting on the marathon again. I'm honored to be here. I'll just read a few poems and hopefully get them in under 5.
Fine, also, you're cool.
Okay. Revolution. It takes one revolution. A vertigo to lose you, like seeing the sun revolving around the planets. To find you, the wave of your hand at the end of an exchange set in motion by an evolution of places, suddenly by a turn of events. I am the woman with the shopping cart full of empty cans and bottles staggering across the street in front of gaping drivers so swollen at any moment, any of us. And suddenly, like the planetarium show, the heavenly bodies realigned to shift our view of places, and then a space where I am the man in front of the drugstore asking with his eyes just in time to meet my torn up heart, asking at just the right time to see that I would give him all that I have to ease his suffering, this galactic pulling on all of our bodies and hearts, the solo melody rising out of the music of the spheres. And this is a few portraits from this portraits captions. I'm working my way through. And then I'll try to close with a prologue to the next iteration of portraits to come forthcoming. Okay. Artist name, Portrait of America, a sketch. Title, Of Another Orange. Year, set, Finley Point, teepee, birds, waves below, pines above, silhouetted on the canvas, swaying in breeze, soon up to the upper cabin for coffee, and then to Polson to see her in prison. Another orange, sails orange in the night, rigging, clinking, clanking against steel masts. The orange moon, through the totem pole, the orange jumpsuit, dimensions, concept, voice. You keep staring at my hair, is it weird? The never-ending Mesopotamia, Debbie said in relation to mirrors. Medium. One more, artist name, Portrait of America, a sketch. Title of Was it this morning or yesterday morning? Woke up lying there, groggily looked at dismantled fire alarm, maybe a photo, and wondered what it was there on Ruthie's wall. Looked somewhat like it was winking after having dreamt. Year, set, Ruthie's apartment, giant replica of fire alarm, mechanical winking animation. Dimensions, concept, excerpts from Tête-à-Tête of Simone de Beauvoir and Jean-Paul Sartre. Kill the dream, Om, a bumper sticker from a conversation with Ruthie regarding the idea that if you encounter the Buddha on your path, kill her or him. It had been a question prior whether dreams were a reality other than or separate from the self, but it was pointed out that the dream is the self or the mind of the self, just like the Buddha is the self. Medium. And if there's time, I'll just read one more. Okay.
You got 45 seconds, so
Okay.
probably.
Not really. Okay. That's
Oh,
it.
no. Okay. Are you all set then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. Thank you.
No, thank you. I like that, the kill the Buddha kind of, yes. Thank you for reading. Yes. Our next reader is Mark Pavlak. If he's all set, go.
Yep.
All right, excellent.
Okay, so Bridget will appreciate this. It's a main focused series of poems. I don't know if I'll get through all of them. I've already going to cut out one. It's a sequence of 6. I'll try to do 5. Away is the title for the sequence, and the epigraph from Whitman, The Long Brown Path Before Me. 1. On the road again. Coastal Route 1 north of Ellsworth. Willie Nelson on the radio. Going places that I've never been, seeing things that I've never seen again. Tree-line slalom run, stretching all the way to the vanishing point. That narrows to a hiccupy frost heave 2-lane in asphalt, its asphalt shoulders calving. Cresting one hill, pooled fog. Cresting another, quicksilver mirage washouts. Sun-baked quill cakes crowd the crows peck at, line the roadway. Mast reeds crowd runoff ditches threatening invasion. 18-wheelers downshifting, stacks burping, leave tire peel detritus, burnt rubber graffiti. And in field after field, long abandoned sheds, dilapidated barns with caved in roofs. 1 minute, beaded paw prints clamber up the windshield. The next, taillights beckon through ground fog. Mile marker after mile marker ticked off until your mind resembles a creased road map that, once spread out, refuses to fold neatly back up. And I can't wait to get back on the road again. 2. This is an epigraph from William Carlos Williams, is also part of the title. The beauties of travel are due to the strange hours we keep to see them. Small town cemeteries, for example, with lichen-crusted marble headstones that leaned every which way, their barely legible inscriptions chiseled in another century. Or this signboard advertising post-hole digging, stump grinding, well drilling, hydro seeding, all affordably priced. One billboard announces, "Flea for all, Saturday on the seawall." Another invites shellfish field days, featuring seaweed pressing and celebrity clam shucking showdown. And not least, this bumper sticker pasted eye level in a roadside diner men's room. My wife and I had a good 20 years. Then we met. 3, checklist, with an epigraph from Elizabeth Bishop. And have we room for one more folded sunset, still quite warm? Fur-topped islands slowly letting their skirts out at ebb tide, check. Ferries plying the channel, mainland to island, island to mainland, check. Cloud hanks strung on a line stretching to the far shore, check. Distant thumb smudge headland, check. Clank of rigging ticking off the minutes, check. Engines idled, lobster boats hauling traps, check. Parliament of gulls on warehouse roof deliberating maritime legislation, check. Field of straw yellow waist-high grasses combed by stiff breeze, check. Grasshoppers bowing, cellos, crickets clacking castanets, check. Monarch, swallowtail, bumblebee, dragonfly, alighting, taking off, alighting, taking off again, check. Skill saws, mosquito wine, nail guns, snare drum, rim taps, check. Delivery truck straining up steep incline. Sam Adams Ale stenciled in bold letters on its side, check. I'm going to skip the next 2 poems and go to the last piece, which is the envoy, with apologies to Elizabeth Bishop. Thinking of the long trip home? Don't. Should we have stayed at home and thought of here? No way, Jose. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. That was an interesting note to end on, actually. Our next reader is Elizabeth Marie Young. There.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Great.
I want to be swallowed by a humpback whale. I want the whale to spit me out 30 seconds later so I can tell you about it. I want to flirt with your third eye. I want to feel your third eye's lashes fluttering against my neck. I want the lashes to be wet. I want to extinguish myself like a candle. I want to get lost in the fog. I want to play gin rummy, sipping sugarless margaritas with you in a tiki bar. I want to braid your hair into the stems and weeds of the earth so lovers can take their pleasure there. I want to have more discipline. I want to ride your stationary bike into the Santa Ynez Mountains. I want to sing Imagine in July in Central Park and feed each other strawberry blossoms. I want a two-step without crutches beneath the Coulter pines. I want to plant forests of Joshua trees. I want to stimulate your scars with electrical impulses. I want to drive your truck drunk straight down the honky-tonk highway. I want to paint pinwheels and dots inside the cave of your self-loathing. I want to ride the mechanical bull. I want visions. I want heat waves, earthquakes, owl feathers, time to say a prayer, then self-destruct. I want to forgive. I want to believe. I want to be called a modern day Jonah. I want our nipples to sprout wings, fly out through the French doors, and return to wake us up just as the mockingbird stops singing. I want to be the kind of girl who gives no thought to wickedness. In my distress, I'll call to you, and you'll command the fish to vomit me up. We'll smoke Marlboro lights in the desert with luminous beings and order tacos dorados from Santo Mezcal. I want to be the kind of girl who can quench the egoic desires that bind me to this world. I want to scratch your spider bites. I want that to be enough. I want to lick turmeric from the bottom of your coffee cup. Okay, this one's called The Combined To-Dos of Johnny Cash, Woody Guthrie, Benjamin Franklin, and Leonardo da Vinci. Get hold of a skull. Calculate the size of the sun. Read lots of good books. Don't be disturbed at trifles. Imitate Socrates. Kiss June. Practice piano. Break the jaw from the side to see the uvula in position. Don't kiss anybody else. Describe a woodpecker's tongue. Imitate Jesus. Love mama. Love papa. Talk to the Benedictine friar about medieval mechanics. Make up your mind. Drink not to elevation. Take the measurement of a dead man using his own finger. Think innocently and justly. Eat not to dullness. Dream good. Stay glad. Obtain forceps, fire stick, scalpel, fine-tooth bone saw, pane of glass, inkhorn, penknife, sheets of paper. Find a master of hydraulics. Wake up and fight. Love everybody. Don't get lonesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next up, we have Michael Steffen.
Hello, everybody. The first poem I'm going to read this evening is called The Super Id. The sea, ever wagged by its tail, it's all continuum, seals playing out into their horror of an orca's play, with little mind for manners, appearance, plasticity, the business of the sails of cloud, stacked like the coast's glass mountains. These aeolian beings drawing from it fertile rain, shimmering nets and devastating storms, great unself-consciousness swims between one's hunger and another's, from deep memory clear to the shallows of our shellfish, and our muck threatening its copious data of marvels, and unmasking me, boy wizard on the shore, of its ponderous metaphor. The second poem is geology. All the moment has is arguments to contradict us, subject to purest reflection, unhinged from prediction, predication, predation, which geology records in rock, history of aftermath, telling us, like Genesis, the garden was well stacked before our first parents. and that what has been again and again, while time's unique utterances keep vanishing from their mutant forms under layers of dust, some of it in droplets of amber. I yop. Word of words opposite of earth, loom of stuff, ice shelf to inland, sea excavation, book written over overwritten footprints of civilizations, braided tail swallowed again by the mouth of matter, crystallizing our trash. Grain of sand chafing to pearl, brush stroke, immensity I sleep on. Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. We're doing all right for time, actually. So people are being short. That said, our next reader is Jennifer Martelli.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. Thank you for having me again. I'm going to read 3 poems from my forthcoming book. 16 Reasons Why I Became a Gray Pearl. I grew tired of being a grain of irritation in the world's soft palette. Thought I'd be a moon floating in a cloudy afternoon sky. Being asexual, I craved bondage. Craved 4 gold prongs to hold me in place on a band for the left ring finger. Needed to backhand someone right on the mouth. Felt silky, felt smooth like a baby snake's tongue. Felt unsure, so I committed to pescatarianism. Bounced like an idea and got lost. I was pried from my hinged jewel casket with a flat shucking knife. I wanted to be shucked so bad. Wanted sisters. Wanted to be drilled and strung on a gold chain. Wanted to tink tink against another gray pearl. Wanted to hang around a woman's neck. Wanted to taste her sweat. The only way to test my purity was to drop me in a glass of red wine vinegar to see if I'd dissolve. I wanted to dissolve. This next poem has an epigraph from Geraldine Ferraro. The Catholic Church is not monolithic in its teachings on abortion. Questions to the electorate. Is a man a monolith? Can you decorate a monolith with sprigs of nutmeg, rue, pennyroyal, a garden of abortofacients? Can you grow savin, squills, ergot of rye around the monolith? Can you dig down far enough so the roots will embed? Can I rule as a monolith? Can I rule as a woman who's had not one but two abortions and still is not sad? Can I rule as a woman who is not sad at all? Can we drape the monolith with pearls, chunky fat gems? Can we polish its flat, dark marble surface until it shines like the tombstones in a cemetery? Will you circle the monolith? Will you join hands with me and dance and dance and dance? Tongue root. Long ago, everybody I knew had last names like mine, all ending with a long, rounded vowel. Vowels have height. Like planets orbiting, they are frictionless, compulsive, and smooth. The vowel is the nucleus of a word. Everything, all sound, depends on the position of the tongue root for articulation, for movement. I asked my friend who has the same name as I, do people think I'm not so bright? No one thinks that, she said, but you have a strong accent. I have always lived by the ocean. When I was a child, I built my altar at low tide on Revere Beach. I made a pentacle with a small suede fringe pouch I stole from one sister with my other sister's doll tucked inside. 2, the blue plastic pirate sword I pulled from the heart of a maraschino cherry. 3, Grandpa's skeleton key I found dangling from a hook on Grandma's stove. 4, my mother's pocket, the book of matches from the General Edwards Inn. 5, my father's tarnished brass tie pin with an embossed tiny White House. What I conjured then, I live with now. I conjured women nobody heard. Maybe people hear me and think I've never left this place. Truly, there are whole sounds I allied, delete and erase. There are whole periods of time too. There are people. What I mean is no one taught me to pronounce a whole phoneme, to roll my tongue, to open the glottis, to think that ghosts won't appear when I speak. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Next up, we have MP Carver.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can. And hope everyone else, yes, hopefully.
Great. Milk, milk. I want to sleep, but live in the village that hates quiet, that loves 2 a.m. infotainment and invented the vacuurama. Tour guides orbit my windows and tell loud stories about the neighbors. Generations of rabbits bolt across the circuit I forgot to ground, arc everywhere. I lay awake all night next to a matchstick I never strike until the birds come round singing. They're always going on about flocking, but they don't need to convince me. Sure, I could pluck my own feathers, but what would I do after? Black Thumb. This is a poem about finding contentment in the garden, about my life both budding and rotting away, and all the mundane language carrying me from point A to nothing particularly striking sunset B. But this isn't just about me. You too can bury the things you dreamed about in the dirt where they churn into sprout, edible, stir fry, and then shit. Did evolution create this? The chance and change of heritable characteristics tangling up in complexity, or some god, half-hearted creator of your drooping azaleas, the whole sad world of beauty. Friends, here's the truth. Even he didn't think you were meant for the garden. Invasion. How come the aliens are always looking for us? Where are the stories about the ones who find us by chance, don't know what to do or say? How will they figure our poems? What will they think about our sprawling cultures, our medical advancements, our failures? To my uncle with Alzheimer's, everyone's an alien now. He's afraid of the woman who cleans his room, of the aides who try and get him to eat and shower. It's just him and the cat. Or was it a son? Who left that baby all alone like that? And who are these people? Some unknown enemy with their exigent, uncanny language. No time. I remember the lidless angel of grief at the table in the clock room where the teapots, the windows, the company all ticked some fatal rhythm into waiting air. We uninvited everything then. Cradle of blank days pitching between us, a storm, but no sound, unable to catch the clasp of heaven, radial strands of relationships drooping like miserable empty dogs, and still that paradisiacal thing fixed in the suspended room, inexorable. Thanks. This is the last one. Thanks for having me and wonderful to read with all of you. Radio. There is only one way to say goodbye. It is the only thing you don't have to pay for. You want it more than what you have paid for. You haven't paid for anything in years except miracles and car radio. There has been a heavy price for car radio. The stars were a pleasant distraction, a nice way to imagine the soul folded into light, bleeding into darkness. I got a miracle. I got it cheap. It was years ago and I paid for it. I paid for it with money. I paid for it with other things. I paid for it with other ink, with other friends and other think, with otherwise ephemeral bits of my body, with lies and with moonlight, stolen moonlight. Nothing that can be paid for can be owned. I own my own, only only lonely one. I heard about it. I heard about it on the car radio. Goodbye. Goodbye, radio, goodbye. Goodbye, lies and ephemera. Goodbye, moonlight, goodbye. Goodbye, other satellites, goodbye. Bye, goodbye, what is paid for. Goodbye, years. Goodbye, pop and the soul. Goodbye, stars, you are pinpricks. Goodbye, miracles. Goodbye, poetry, goodbye. Goodbye, friends, goodbye to you. And bye-bye again, car radio. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, MP Carver. Next up, we have Valerie Loveland. There.
Hey everyone. The first poem I'm going to read is called Jose Chung's From Outer Space. It is an episode of The X-Files. Our neighbor upstairs had a party and someone yelled, "Yes, this is my jam," as Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy came on. He started watching The X-Files and we know exactly how many episodes because we hear the theme song every time he plays one. He walked into our apartment thinking he was walking into his apartment. All of us were shocked. He exclaimed, "This is not my apartment," and left. It wasn't until after he was gone that we realized it was that neighbor. Our upstairs neighbor is a guy that is right on top of us. He yelled, "Have you seen my asshole?" He played Monster Mash twice during his Halloween party. He got sick of X-Files and started watching The Office. I don't like that series, but the theme song is perfect. I want to tell him he gave up on X-Files too early. He stopped before he got to see my favorite episode, Jose Chung's From Outer Space. Alex Trebek is in it. I want to ask, why are you either alone or having a big party? Why don't you ever have just one person over? I want to ask, do you want to hear the poem I wrote about you? The next one is, I am back on my bullshit. I've been testing a theory. Can I cure myself with more of myself? I took an internet quiz. It reveals if you are back on your bullshit, and it concluded I was. I changed my answers, and it continued to say I was, no matter what answers. It just knew somehow. Sometimes the electricity between synapses zigzags through one chemical, and other times through a different chemical. Sometimes it is a cycle of chemicals. I figured out a way to be more myself than myself. I am the previous me and also the next me. I know which version everyone likes best because they keep telling me. I packed up all my stuff in cardboard boxes and hired movers and moved everything out. Then I moved all my same stuff back into the same house. How much of me is me? Everyone participated in my guided tour of a circuitous loop. We were back at the beginning. Some said they knew how it was going to end. I knew the ending because I wrote the ending. This is called I Married a Fireman. He handed me a single match. I didn't even have anything to strike it on. He handed me a little box of future fire, a matchbox that rattled, but all the matches still stayed tucked in their bed sleeping. He gave me one of those long plastic lighter things that my mom uses to light her jars of scented candles. He handed me that flint scratch wiry Bunsen burner lighter where you can actually see the wire scrape the flint. He gave me a sparkler. Last Independence Day, we didn't have any matches, so we lit them on our electric stove in the house and ran outside with them and chain lit the whole box. He handed me a Bunsen burner. He gave me a whole glass stove with 4 round glass flames. It's the most controlled fire I know. He gave me a bonfire that came with a group of people who stared at it like they can see their reflections in the flames. He gave me a flamethrower. It was even heavier than I expected. He gave me a whole house that was on fire and would not say what caused it to catch on fire. He handed me a whole forest fire, the whole thing. He set that fire too. I am writing a series of poems about David S. Pumpkins, who is a character in a sketch on Saturday Night Live. It's about a haunted elevator ride, basically.
Actually, that sounds interesting. But
we're at the last.
Yeah, you've got
No
nothing
problem.
time left, but that does
Sure.
sound interesting, and I hope you talk more about it. And I want to hear more about it. Yes. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
No. Yes. Thank you, Valerie. Yay. Thank you, Valerie. Our next reader is now Stephanie Kaler.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be here tonight. My first poem is called The Ultrasound Shows Me an Empty Sack. In the waiting room, a single flyer with a reminder to wash your hands. How we often do not know all we carry. How happy birthday can be sung to ourselves. I would rip it down, but today I do not have enough song in me for envy. Even goodbye, its single set of footsteps, shattering the tree's shriveled rejects, brings its own music, though I too have muffled my ears. Today there is only an envelope addressed from an old lover with no letter in it. Today, there is only a bell without a clapper. I clang it with a hammer to let the walls bear its wailing, open the windows for the neighbors to bear witness when God can't. A single schoolboy riding a red bicycle through the empty street. He does not turn around. And this next poem is called Ordering Dinner After the Miscarriage. The Uber driver picks me up at the hospital and asks if it's just me. He sees me looking back and knows I'm still waiting. I nod and shut the door. Tonight, I do not want to open the empty refrigerator again. Do not want to hear the fan motors roar unwavering, out of ignorance or out of hope. Do not want to ask if there's a difference between the two. He drives through the park, its potholed road that tells of the budding trees, that they can bloom anywhere but here. And I do not look up, going back and forth between the 2 food delivery apps on my phone. Their stay in restaurants, delivery fees, wait times. Too grateful for options to be disgusted by the possibility of meat. I am in hunger. I am in awe. How you can get anything you want delivered. And I'll be reading one more poem. This one is titled Long Distance. I photographed the ocean to show you there is a moment in which I remembered our smallness, in which I placed the shell to my ear and heard not the roar of past lives, but the miles between us. I was never faithless enough to believe there is no smell of salt. Once it meant closeness, the peeling of earth-worn limbs folded into themselves, an indiscernible core. I cut apples into spheres when you feared a bite would break your teeth. How effortlessly we crumble. I photographed the ocean to show you. I remember life before the weight of bone, before the need for knives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Oh, now this is great. Next up, we have Tom Daly.
Thank you all for listening, and thanks to all the wonderful readers that I'm reading with. It's a privilege and an honor, and also special thanks to the organizers who you have no idea how much work they put in to do this. Bridget, Eileen, Suzanne Mercury, Christina Liu, and Extine Strong. I'm going to read 3 poems. The first is The Mall. Come next cherry blossom, blossom, they say, the tidal basin will brim and flood the monuments. Imagine water in the buckle bronze shoes of Jefferson, the ghosts of the incarcerated Japanese Americans piloting skiffs over Roosevelt's head, even Reagan's scars under a foot of the flood that dwarfed the banks of Mount Vernon. We never came here on our escapes from your semi-X, but I remember the day you stopped in your VW Bug and worked me dry at an intersection. 1 foot on the brake while you lipped and jacked my tallywhacker. How I miss that old easy ardor. How we fell, sometimes 4 times a day, into the tumble of steels and bases, the leather glove of your hand suppled with your spit, your shy eye always coming to when I blinked. Cues. Everywhere the miasma, tributes to scenarios worst emerging. Early modeling of a death range, of a strange itch that even the hydrocortisone cannot relieve. Stabbing sound everywhere, wanting to be scratched away, sleepless in the cool pause between the 90s. Already the heat waves, the radio towers broadcasting strange mutations in the greater good. And the last poem is called Kokomo Tribulations. Seer of the jug of milk in the cold spring, and the cat rancid with distemper in the failed garden. Did I remember the spike of the stars over the crown of the trees, the cold, meaty, tongue-ticking stars over the wavering trees? The mornings when I had to break through the ice in my tin wash basin to get a little water to wash? Dawn is an idiom that slakes itself with familiarity. Death is a fluorescence of ripeness. In a dead man's sweat, find the tangle of desire and weariness. The memorized oration prompts itself into recitations directed toward the comfort of a tree trunk, when the stimulant named for the assassins is baked and ingested on the afternoon of a wedding. Our entryway is heady with the sharp whiff of cedar we sawed and split before we learned it burns too fast. Memory catches itself between the gasps of a man who hung himself with his own belt. Derivative of coxcomb, of widow's ghosts, of a tin roof rusting orange and benevolent in the sun, of the Irish cousin terrified of moths, of corn stalks green in the glut of August, of the lists of evacuations piled in the limed hole under the sanitary stars. We walked the long asphalt where the dogs knew we held rocks in our fists, that kept the slavering slit of their teeth off our calves, kept them their side of the ferocious ditches. Death is exactly what happens between a nightmare and the change in the velocity of the whir of the white noise machine. Are you in touch at that moment with your 6-pointed, star-quilted legions, your soothsayers, the foes you fend off with your profane prostrations in the sawdust? All the stars are crowding through the homebrew barrel vault of trees over the curving dirt driveway after the pig roast. We've had our rock sweat saunas and cooled off in the lukewarm water of the trench. The 8-track tape machine is snagged on the last notes of Little Wing and the opening strains of the precipitant stardust that rims the blade.
Thank you. Yeah, my computer froze. So thank you, Tom, very much. Our last reader for the evening is going to be Dick Lurie. He has to unmute himself.
Oh.
Oh.
All right. Okay, unmuted.
Yep, you're all set.
Thank you, everybody. I've been listening very carefully, and thanks to the organizers. It's a great event. This is a piece called Four Poems Listening to Music. And each of these 4 short poems is named after a particular piece of music. There's 4 of them. Blues in the Night. I close my eyes to listen, but last night's dream turns up to distract me with a big kitchen knife. I am preparing a fish for our dinner. When it moves, I am terrified. What should I do? Kill it quick to avoid causing more pain, but the blade won't go in deep enough. I can't tell if the music is making me less afraid or more. Now, I recall that old Gestalt therapy trick where everything in the dream turns out, in fact, to be you. So, am I the fish, the knife? Am I this music hauling up the dream from where it would rather stay? Blues in the Night. The second one is called Piece of My Heart. In another dream, closer to morning, when I can't distinguish the dark from the light, I am being guided by Lore Gill through a difficult passage in a wood with a firm hand on my arm as if he is the older, even though when I first saw him, he was an infant in Elaine's arms. Yet here he grins like a big brother. And though when I wake, I know that he's dead. Motorcycle crash at 33. In the dream, all I noticed was the beauty of his youth and how I trusted him. Piece of my heart. And the next one is called Gymnopédie. Denise in class always told us that dream is our channel to the unconscious, to be respected for its wisdom. And so I used to write down every dream quickly, afraid I'd forget it. Sometimes now I turn up the radio, make breakfast, read the paper, afraid I'll remember it, like this morning. But now, even late in the day, my mind is too clear. So this dream, familiar, coolly presents itself. I just can't get on the bus with all these shopping bags, takeout coffees, instrument cases, and no one will tell me what to do. Not Denise, dead now 20 years, and not Eric Satie, though I can hear that he's trying. Gymnopédie. And the last of these 4 poems is Night Train. No wonder it's been said music is the perfect art. Here when it's here, sufficient, then gone. Record it if you must listen again, but you'll never see or touch it. The other arts, the others try hard, but always seem to leave things lying around. Stone, words, paint splash, blade, crash, hand on your arm, nagging smell of someone's mortality. Who might that be? No wonder I took up the sax. How else could I even approach perfection at night in the bar? Like the best kind of dream, I strap it on and by dawn forget everything. Night Train. And one more here. This, as you could tell in the title, I wrote this 40 years ago, hoping that it would become redundant and obsolete. February 1981, the systematic murder of black children. This is not a political poem, giving out your, quote, views, as they say, in that sense of democratic debate, kicking it around in discussion and argument. That would be, in this case, a distraction. So I went with a title that's plain fact you could quickly verify. Just discovered in Atlanta, the body of the 17th black child murdered within the past year. Such a fact laid out so simply hard to forget might perhaps stick in your head, reminding you maybe whenever you see a black child that they are miraculous. What do I mean? We need to behave, of course, with love and respect toward all children. But as for black children, you have to remember that someone is out to kill them. Why? Because they are black children. And so let them command your loyalty, your most clear and fierce attention. They are rare. They are in peril. Fewer of them will survive. Those who do are, yes, miracles. You must treat them like the bearers of your only hope for an end to the murders of black children. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of our readers. I'm going to list them all. Ethel, first name, Ethel, Dick, Elizabeth, Mark, Elizabeth, Michael, Jennifer, MP, Carver, Valerie, Stephanie, and Tom. I thank you all very much.
And thank you to all our volunteers this weekend and to my fellow organizers, Xtina Strong, who was our MC this hour, Suzanne Mercury, who just popped in to say hi, Christina Lou, who's like shutting everything down and restarting. She can't get into this meeting. I just want to remind everyone, if you have technical gremlins, please go to the page that's linked in your email if you're a reader. That's called bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/guide. It has step-by-step instructions in case your technical gremlins are, coming to visit. Because they were coming to visit today. I don't know. I thought we were karmically good, but something happened. They were mad at me.
Yep.
But we figured it out. And thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
an
Bridget.
amazing 6 o'clock hour, 7 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock hour. Mark, do you like this? This was my old license plate in Maine. It only cost $15 back in the 2000s to have a personalized license plate.
That's a good one.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
$15. And I had a 1983 Crown Vic. And I was a high school teacher and they called it the Poetry Mobile.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you again, everyone, so much for everything tonight. We will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. and again on Saturday at 12 p.m. Again, see you all in the streaming, see you all readers in the Zoom. Thank you again to everybody for everything. This is amazing. Like, I'm so happy that we are able to
This was an amazing night.
Yeah, it was a great night.
I can't believe it. Everyone was knocking it out of the park.
Amazing. I laughed, I cried.
Wow.
I cried again and I laughed and it was so good. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one.
How are the bees, Suzanne?
Thank you.
Oh, God, so good.